Hi, my name is Ruben Varela, and I'd like to talk to you today about the book Cracking the Code: The Fascinating Truth About Taxation in America by Peter Hendrickson, which takes on the income tax and dismantles piece by piece, once and for all, the false notion that the average person living and working in America is obligated to pay a tax on their labor. Now, Pete and the book does a great job of going into the underlying legal fundamentals as to why this is so. But I believe most people know instinctively that to pay a tax on our labor is not only immoral, but unlawful. And so to illustrate my point, what I'd like for you to do is I'd like for you to imagine that today is the birth of your firstborn child. So imagine there you are, you're in the recovery room, you're exhausted, you're relieved, you're swaddling with your infant, and then out of nowhere, there's a knock at the door, and the door just swings open, and there's a stranger there. And he says, "Hi, I just wanted to congratulate you on the birth of your beautiful child and let you know that when your child becomes of working age, from that day forward until the day they die, for every dollar they earn, they're going to pay me 40 cents. Nice to meet you. Slap you on the back. Have a nice day," right? Now, if you're like most people, your reaction is probably going to be, "Excuse me, but who the blank are you? My child is not your property. My child is not your slave," right? I mean, we know that we would never allow ourselves to be placed in bondage like this to another person. Yet that's exactly what we do to the federal government. Every year we genuflect and pay tribute to our master as servants, even though the federal government has no more authority or power over you than the stranger at the door. And that's because indentured servitude was outlawed along with slavery after the Civil War. Okay? So, how does this happen? How did the government turn the system upside down on its head, right? And turn us into slaves and it the master? Well, the simple truth is it's just ignorance on our part of the law as it's written. Although it's not all our fault. I mean, we're programmed and conditioned and propagandized from birth to fear the IRS, right? I mean, death and taxes. Don't mess with the IRS. You can't fight City Hall, right? Well, I'm here to tell you that if you read the book Cracking the Code and you visit the corresponding website, losthorizons.com, that you will find that you can fight City Hall and win, and that you are not a slave to the federal government, just like you're not a slave to the stranger at the door. And this applies for those of you who have already filed your ignorant tax returns. You can file amended returns for the past 3 years and get everything back that you paid in for your federal tax, Social Security, FICA, and Medicare as well. So add that up for 3 years, you'll find that it's quite a sum. And for those of you who have not filed your returns and are being harassed by the IRS with threats of levies or liens, or have had liens or levies placed on you, you can file an original return and have those removed. In my case, for just to give you an example of a success story, I was working for a commercial real estate developer in 2003 and was also trading stocks and options for my own account. I had a pretty good year, and I think the IRS thought I owed them a pretty good penny. But I never did file my return for 2003. As I mentioned, I believed that there was something wrong about the system. And it took me many years of research to find my way to cracking the code. But after I did, and I read the book, I filed my original return for 2003 in 2015. Now, it took them over a year to actually begin to process my return, but in the meantime, shortly after I filed, I received a friendly reminder from the IRS as to how much they claimed that I owed them for the 2003 tax year. I can show you that right here. well over $450,000. So, like I said, a pretty penny. But they finally did get around to processing or to begin processing my return after a year. And the first thing they did was they claimed that it was a frivolous return, and they immediately assessed me a $5,000 frivolous return penalty, and that was in addition to what they claim I already owed. Well, I disputed that. I went through the proper process to do that, and while that was happening, I actually had a revenue officer intervene and take a personal interest in my account. He made it his personal duty to not only attempt to defeat the original return, but also to destroy my life. But I'm happy to report that truth, justice, and the American way prevailed, and that's why I can show you a copy of a recent account transcript that I ordered. And you can see, hopefully here you can see the recent order date. And for the 2003 tax year. Okay. And then this shows the account balance, the balance on the interest and the penalty, which is 0. So, how do you go from owing the IRS over $450,000 to not owing them a dime? Well, I can tell you that there's only one way, and that is with the law, their own law as it is written, their own code, their own definitions, their own regulations, and their own rules and procedure. And that's how you do it. All we're doing is we're filing our returns in accordance with the law as it is written and letting them know that we know the law and that we expect them to abide by it. It's that simple. So, for all of you misinformed or otherwise brainwashed patriot slaves who salute the flag and weep on 4th of July thinking that you're free, you're not free, but you could be. And that's because knowledge is power, and the fascinating truth about the income tax in America will set you free. So please read Cracking the Code and visit the corresponding website, losthorizons.com.